Hello and welcome to Wall of Reds, once again joined by 8 passionate Reds. You will notice that there's one missing. Joe's going to join us in a second as we dissect yesterday's victory and we're going to look ahead to PSG. Yes, you might be thinking, Ben, we won yesterday. Let's just quickly, have 10 minutes to brag about that before we start talking about the big game that's happening next week. However, we feel, and I feel, like most of talking about yesterday's already been done. Now's the perfect time to look ahead in excitement. So that's what we're going to do on this show. If you're watching anywhere else, come over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/allforunited. Use the live chat. Hit a like, subscribe. Please hit that like button. That's really important to us because if there's other United fans on YouTube right now, as they're browsing, they'll see our video pop up with the more likes we get. So please make sure you like this video. So as I said, we're going to react to yesterday's performance. We're going to pick a man of the match. So many names being mentioned. We're going to decide on one because our opinions are the only ones that matters. PSG, we're going to talk about Ollie's biggest dilemmas going into the game. We're going to have a look at some of the threats as well that Paris hold. And all in all, we're going to jump in and just chat about how excited we are that Champions League football is back for Manchester United. Cannot wait. First of all, let's go one by one, lads. Thank you all of you for joining me, first of all. But as always, we'll give you 90 seconds each. Mark, let's come over to you first, mate. Happy housewarming, I think is what I should say. You've just moved house. Lovely curtains you've got up in the background. I like them.
Thank you very much.
How are you? Big smile on your face. What a win that was yesterday.
Yeah, it was a great result. Listen, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we were good. I think there were a lot of players that surprised us all. I think we were all surprised with the starting lineup. I thought particular players, James had a good game, but he played on the left. We've spoken about him being a bit better on the left, and he was. Still needs to work on his end product. I thought Mata was brilliant. Bruno had a good game. I was a bit disappointed about Van der Beek not starting. I think he's shown week in, week out that he should be getting a start. But yeah, all in all, it was brilliant. Again, I don't want to get too carried away, but it was nice to see that we could bounce back very quickly. Ollie had a brilliant rapport with everyone, so I think he's quashed those rumours. Bruno, the interview afterwards was he sort of hit the nail on the head and used very, very clever words in order to encourage Harry, and encourage the team essentially. And it is a positive weekend, and I like waking up after a win as opposed to a lose.
That is true. As a truer word is said as that, I'd prefer to wake up after, especially when we play so late in the day as well. I find that if we lose when we play later on in the evening, my mood is ruined for the whole next morning as well. Barry, let's come over to you, mate. Your final thoughts on yesterday's win. Happy guy? You happy? You're drinking your vodka? You must be pleased.
Yeah, happy with it. I echo pretty much what Mark had to say because we had to bounce back. Imagine the long knives would have been out had we lost the game yesterday. After a really poor start, we bounced back. I think one of the players that hasn't received much attention from yesterday was our goalkeeper. I thought he had a very good game and he pulled off a blinding save when it was 1-1. So I was happy with the result, bearing in mind that we were on parity right up until the 85th minute. I didn't like the starting lineup, but I do think that he had an eye on the PSG game, which we're going to talk about. And the game really changed when he changed the midfield. So yes, I overall, I'm happy with the result. We bounced back, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think Newcastle were pretty poor yesterday, but you've got to beat the team that are on the field in front of you. So all in all, happy with it. Some excellent performances from the likes of Mata, Bruno, wonderful football brain that Mata's got. So I really enjoyed him. And I enjoyed Rashford's performance yesterday. And a word about our second goal, Bruno's goal. That will go down. When we look at great United goals, that'll be one of them. That is the United way of playing. I loved that goal.
Wow, that's a really good plaudit, I suppose I should say. That's a really nice thing to say about that goal. Barry, just quickly, I'll talk about football with you again in a second, but Joe's waiting to join Barry. He's waiting to join the chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that you've just said something awful about him. I'm going to add him in, and then he's going to act like he's shocked about what you've just said about him, okay? So let's just quickly refresh. Oh my God, Barry, I can't believe you just said that about Joe. That was bang out of order.
Barry, okay, I'm sorry I'm the sexiest accent here. You try your best, okay, with your South African, but nothing beats the Irish. So thank you very much for attempting,
Wow.
but I'm the top dog here, okay?
Wow, it always comes back to Ireland, doesn't it? Always.
Always back to misery.
We'll come and get you. We'll come and get your thoughts in a sec. Barry, someone else you mentioned about De Gea. No one really speaking about him. I was speaking to my dad earlier on, and I mentioned to him about Scott McTominay. I thought he had a very underrated game as well. I thought he played very well in the middle of the park.
Good.
I think McTominay's game improved when Fred left the field.
Well,
I mean, I agree with that. I think those two can't really play together particularly well. I think they're both very similar, even if Fred's a bit more technically got a bit more prowess about him. But yeah, absolutely agree with that.
Let me just quickly say hi to a few comments. Suzanne says, hi, folks. Hi, Suzanne. Hello to Gaynor, who's in with us. Philly says he can trust Van der Beek. Well, he's not showing that he can trust Van der Beek at the moment. He's not playing him, so we'll have to wait and see. Hello to Rich, who says, hi, everyone. You're up, Rich. Gaynor's already getting in Matter as man of the match. We're going to discuss the man of the match in a second. Amy's in with us. You're right, Amy. Thank you for joining us. Amy, you've got to jump on one of these shows soon. Send me over a DM.
I've also got something for you guys as well. Since we can't be at Old Trafford at the minute, this is for everyone in the chat as well. So as you know, I was in the Stadium for Ants charity raffle thing. And here is Old Trafford.
Oh my God. Oh.
Is it like the TARDIS? Is it bigger in person?
Funny. It's actually not too bad. And there's 2 light switches as well. So there you go.
Love that.
It does light up.
I just want to, just talking of that, if I can interject. It's funny how the wheel It's funny how the wheel turns the full circle. When my sons were small, we used to buy them Lego as gifts. And recently, my oldest son bought me the Lego of the Man United Stadium. So the wheel turns the full circle.
Love that. Love that. Just one more quick hello to Jacob as well, is in with us. You're right, Jacob. He's just said on the reflection of what you've just said, Barry, counter-attack goals are nice. Need a threat from open play. Crosses too low. We don't score many from crosses. Do you know what, though? That's what I'm so, and we'll talk about this later on. I'm so hyped to see Tellez and Cavani play together because it's just like, I want to see a couple of Route 1 goals, and it'd be nice to see them do that. Abdul, let's come over to you, mate. Final thoughts on yesterday's win.
I think it was actually pretty good, and I disagree with everybody when they said the game changed. When they said the game changed when the substitutions came on. It's sure, there's more quality bringing on Pogba and Van de Beek. That's the obvious. But we did have our chances. We just never took them before them. The way we played was the same, and if we're gonna go by statistics, we did not create much after Pogba and Van de Beek came on. It was just literally those 3 goals. We created much more when they were off. When it comes to Scott McTominay and Fred, you have to really think about what's being asked of them to do, not as opposed to what they can do. So we all know that Fred and Scott McTominay are not very creative, but what were they asked to do in that game? Oli did not want them to play any penetrating passes. That's why Bruno and Mata were interchanging their positions very, very much, and they were playing in the half spaces just behind the back line of Newcastle, the second back line. So he did not want Fred or Scott McTominay to play any wrist passes so that they don't dispossess it. Even sometimes when they did some of you saw that Fred did lose the ball sometimes. So it really depends. Like, what is Oli asking Fred and Scott to do in this game, as opposed to what can Scott and do actually from what I know about their profile. So, like, you have to think about those things a little bit. And I think the overall performance over the 90 minutes was very good. It was just that we were unfortunate to be 1-1 until the other substitutions came on. Why did we score 3 goals on quick successions? Because Newcastle had to come out. When they came out, we found more space, and we were able to counter them with 2 goals out of the 3. But we did a very, very good job in keeping the width. We did a very, very good job in stretching them. This is my positive from the game, and the thing that I would say Oli worked on. Like, I was very impressed with.
Yeah, good points. Good points, well made. Actually, to be fair, thinking back, you are right. I can't remember there being a lot more chances with Van der Beek and Pogba on the field. You're right. We just took them, and I think that's quite evident. And the fact that they're counter-attacking goals as well. It wasn't like we were so to speak pressing Newcastle at that point. They were pressing us, and we got them on the break. Reece, can I come over to you now, mate? Final thoughts on the win?
Yeah, I thought it was the way we need to respond after a difficult performance against Spurs as well. I mean, played our best team against Tottenham and we got humiliated, but this is a good way to bounce back, especially scoring 4 goals. Also, nobody wants to remember a loss, but I do, because a loss sets the tone for the season to come. So that defeat will now hopefully spur us on. We go forward and we progress. One thing I will say is I agree with Abdel in terms of the possession and the chances is that we took. They were very minimum in the second half, but one thing we can say is those chances we took, effectively the chance we had, we took them very well, and the 3 goals justified it. I felt Wan-Bissaka getting his first goal as well for the club on his 50th appearance is good for him. Hopefully this will spur him on a little bit more and give him that extra confidence. So just to wrap up, I'm glad that we responded the way we should, and the win was deserved, and hopefully this will take us further on.
Yeah, good shouts. And as you were talking there, Reece, so many people getting involved, like Suzanne saying Abdel talks so much sense as you were talking, Reece, which was absolutely lovely of Suzanne.
Yeah.
Love that. As you also says, 2 defensive midfielders were shielding the defence. Yeah, of course, and that they were there to do their job. And I just think, to my personal thought, Go on, Abdel.
Yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say, like, what Scott and McTominay were trying to do is, you see that first back 4 of Newcastle, they were just trying to separate them from the other back 4, and this will create a lot of space for Bruno and Mata to roam around with. Bruno and Mata were changing the 10 and the inside forward on the right all the time, and also other times where Rashford or James will have to drag one of the center backs up forward so that they can create space for either James or Rashford, depending on who does it, to run in behind. We attempted a lot more long balls this game than any other game just for that specific tactic. Now, obviously, it didn't come off. Some of the long balls were not very accurate, but you saw that pattern, you saw that behavior, and this is why Scott and Fred did not do much in the game, and people were like, what do they do? Like, they didn't do anything. It was a bad performance. You have to look how, what is exactly him trying to do rather than what he can do. You know what I mean?
They effectively did their job. That's what they were there to do. They did their job, and they did it well.
To a man.
I don't agree with that completely, and I don't think that Fred did his job very well. And in fact, when you looked at Newcastle's goal, Fred and McTominay allowed Shelby to waltz right past them, and Fred lost possession of the ball time and time again during the game. So I'm afraid I don't agree with you. And in the second half,
of course, Barry, there is going to be a mistake or two in the game. No one is going to be perfect. You know what I mean?
Well, that's debatable, but we created as many chances in the second half as we did in the first half. But in principle, I agree with most of what you said. But I don't think Fred did what was asked of him by the manager, because he lost possession so often. And as I say, they were at fault for that first goal because they allowed him free passage. But maybe I have a bias towards Fred because I don't think he's good enough to play in our team.
Which you've never mentioned before, Barry.
Yeah, you've never mentioned that before, Barry. I think it's quite interesting though, because I think when I look at it, Fred did lose the ball a bit, but then again, did he lose the ball or even get caught as much as Pogba has recently? I don't think he was, and I don't think he lost the ball in areas where we have been punished like we have been in previous games. I just think, all in all, though, and just reverting back to what the comment I was going to make before we started talking about, so to speak, individual players and throw names out there, guys, get in the live chat. Don't know what you think about this, but I just think, to a man, everyone more or less, apart from the first 2 minutes, had a good game. And I think when your whole team has a good game, you reap the benefits of that win, and it makes it feel better. Alan, let me come over to you quickly, and then we'll go to James, and then we'll go to Joe. Just final thoughts quickly on the win against Newcastle, and anything you want to pick out from the before conversations.
I think it was an overall strong team performance. Each and everyone had their role in yesterday's game. And another thing that was very important, which we didn't see in the other games, was the number of chances we created. First half, we weren't clinical enough, but and we showed character as well, because we were unfortunate to concede a goal in the beginning, Luke Shaw own goal. But then what happened after that was we were able to score from a corner, and that it was a big boost for Harry Maguire after all the criticism that he was facing. And with that goal, it just it was a big slap on all the critics towards him. And I feel that the number of chances that we created, that's what was effective this game. We were able to bring that confidence towards the end of the game. This helped even, I think Dan James had a good game. Like the first half, he was able to create something from the left. His decision making should improve a bit, but I feel after a very long time, he's having a good game. And I felt Scott McTominay was underrated in today's game, playing as a shield, coming to the right centre back position. He attended some long passes, like in the first half. I think that was to destabilize the defense, because Newcastle wanted to stay compact. And De Gea had a good performance yesterday, because that save kept us in the game.
Yep, good points well made, Adam. James, let me come over to you, mate. What are your final thoughts?
I think just to build on the change the game, I think they definitely made an impact, but everything right?
You were stuttering then ever so slightly, but you've just come back.
Right, I'll start again then. Just sort of the point about the substitute not changing the game. I agree with that in the fact that I think injuries that Newcastle picked up did change the game quite a lot, because they were pretty solid until Isaac Hayden went down, replaced by a centre back, and they sort of set up shop from there, allowed us to get properly on the front foot and create chances, and that sort of played into Bruno and Mattis. So we sort of went from there, and then obviously you saw how well Darlow played. He picked up a big injury. He was clearly uncomfortable for the rest of the game, and I think we ideally should have been peppering more shots at him if he was injured. But all in all, I'm ecstatic with the performance that we put in. I wasn't expecting to win, I must admit, going into the game, especially with how we've been doing. So to get 3 points is always a positive.
And in emphatic fashion as well, in some ways, looking at that scoreline. Let me just quickly add Barry back in. Sorry, Abdel.
Just a point, and it's a good thing that you're adding Barry, because it's for him. Barry. Okay, so I pulled up all the statistics from last day's match. All right, Paul Pogba lost the ball 7 times in less than half the time that Fred spent on the match. Fred lost it 8 times. Scott McTominay lost it 10 times. So I know we try to pick on players because we know they're limited in certain areas. But like I said it before, we have to really try to see what they're trying to do, not what they did wrong, because every player will do something wrong in the match. No player comes out unscathed. Like, for example, Lindelof, he got turned by Callum Wilson, right? And that led to the attack for the goal. But what Fred did wrong there was him staying with Alan Saint-Maximin instead of leaving him to do Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because that was Aaron Wan-Bissaka's job in that game. This is Fred's mistake, and I agree with it completely. But these things happen. These things happen. Midfielders will get dragged out of position. Something like that will happen. So we need to be all-encompassing in sense of what's happening here, what is he trying to do there, what is he trying to do after 10 minutes, and instead of saying, I know Fred is not good, so I'm just looking out for every mistake he's making, kind of thing,
I think there's a lot of views on Fred. I mean, Skeptic says here, Fred is the more adventurous one out of the two with McTominay, and he will lose the ball more as a unit. They were solid. And Jacob said here, Fred is sloppy on the ball, yes, but it's his speed across the ground which was key. Fred forced Newcastle into an uncomfortable positions. Same with Scott. And there's just loads of opinions. One about Van der Beek here. Farhad says, could Van der Beek be the temporary solution to our right wing problem? The team has had a better balance playing with two creators, Bruno and Mata, in the three behind the striker. And Suzanne, he's jumped in on what you said there about Pogba. Pogba did very little except give the ball away. I'll get Barry back in. I think South Africa are having some slight difficulties with their weather and internet, as can be the way on a Sunday evening, as we know. Barry, I'll get you in a sec. First of all, Barry, whilst you wait, let's hand over to Joe, who we all know you love listening to. Joe, final thoughts, mate.
Yeah, I had an incredibly difficult time watching this game, not because of anything to do with the performance, but due to the fact that I didn't pay to buy it, so I was buffering for fucking 70 minutes of the game. Whenever there was a pasture play going on, it would just freeze, and there'd be 3 little dots coming up. So the amount of game I saw was about 12 seconds of the whole thing. But from what I saw, I had a great, wonderful time, because the whole thing is how you respond to any defeat. And like losing 1-0 would be bad enough, but losing 6-1 to what you'd like to think is a close rival with your best 11, like all you're looking for is a response. I would have been happy. I thought we were going to struggle through that game, and it felt like a game that when we went to 1-1 and De Gea did a phenomenal save, and I've been a critic of De Gea for the last while, which I thought he deserved to be criticised, but in fairness to him, when he needed to perform, he did yesterday on Callum Wilson's header, which was one of the few times he was called upon. It was a phenomenal save. That would have made the game 2-1 to Newcastle, and we would have been lucky to get out of the draw with that one. So for the fact he made that save, and then we went on to win 4-1 afterwards with everyone who scored that day, it just made me so happy. I could not be happier the fact that Harry Maguire scored. He needed that. He needed that boost more than anyone on that pitch. With Fernando scoring from open play after missing the penalty, outstanding. Wan-Bissaka getting his first senior goal in all football, and then with Rashford getting his first Premier League goal of the season. It was every goal scored deserved, and I couldn't be happier. But with the performance overall, from what I've seen, the response we needed. We needed a convincing win. We needed a show we can actually put passes to place together that can tear teams apart again. We needed that, and going into the and especially with the lineup we had to begin with, because I thought we were going to have fucking heart failure when I saw that lineup. I thought he just was giving up on the job altogether. I thought he said, like, well, I'm going to go out on fire. I thought that's the way it was going to go. So the fact that we started with that lineup and ended that result, it was the best thing ever. No matter what Barry says.
No matter what Barry says. The only thing that would have made the heart attack worse when we saw that lineup would have been Lingard starting, right, Barry?
Oh.
Quite right. Sorry for the bad weather and the bad reception.
It's all right, mate. That's fine. You keep freezing slightly, but we can hear what you're saying. So hopefully it'll stick on. Barry, let's stick with you. Guys, just one word answers on this. Man of the matches. So you don't have to explain why. Just one word answers and we'll come back and talk more. Barry, who was man of the match for you yesterday?
Mata.
Abdel?
Bruno.
Reese?
Mata.
Alan?
De Gea.
Ooh. James?
Maguire.
This is what I mean. It's so split. Mark?
Bruno.
Joe?
There's only one matter.
It's so split, and there's a lot of shouts for other players as well. I don't think Rashford put a foot wrong up top either. I thought he actually played really, really well.
Very good.
Very, very good. Mark, let me come over and chat to you about your play just a little bit. I suppose you went for Bruno, right, Mark? Why Bruno over Mata for you?
I was very split, and I've gone back and forth all day, actually. I think there was a plethora of players that could have got man of the match. I thought David De Gea was fantastic. I thought Aaron Wan-Bissaka was brilliant, got forward lots, scored his goal. Maguire, obviously, Steve Bruce came out and said, you know, it's up to you to suck it up and get on with it. And he did exactly that, and he got a goal too. Luke Shaw, although he's not overlapping, he was going forward brilliantly. It was nice to see him coming inside and actually pushing forward. He looked pretty good. Bruno for me in particular, because he played brilliantly. I think with him, Van der Beek as well, and Mata, they are very intelligent players, and you can see that they are brilliant together, and they accommodate each other, and you know they were phenomenal. But Bruno in particular, because he played very well. He was unfortunate to have a goal disallowed. He also missed a penalty, which we don't often see from him. You know, we've not seen it ourselves, and he hasn't missed one since 2016 or whatever it is, 2017. And the fact that he went on to score a magnificent goal after, probably having a negative output from the penalty, I thought was brilliant. To be honest with you, I could still go with Juan Mata. I thought he was phenomenal, and we wrote him off a couple of months ago, and he's been terrific whenever he's played. And I think, it's a fantastic thing to have when you've got Juan Mata playing brilliantly and several others in the last game in particular, coming up for the next game.
Yeah, and it's those partnerships that Bruno creates with other good footballers.
Yeah,
the way he played
brilliant.
with Mata. Abdel, do you want to add anything on there for Bruno?
I picked him over Mata, not because he did better or anything. I think both of them were fantastic, but I picked Bruno because the intelligence that he played with, in the sense of, we all know that Mata likes to play centrally, and when you set these two players up, you have to take advantage of that vacated space. And when I was watching the match, I thought Bruno was very intelligent, that in the way that every time Mata moved out of his space to leave it void, he always tucked in to fill it in, or he ordered one of the forward lines to move into that space, and he took up the striker position. And this is one of the principles that I really love Oli about, in the sense of the front four are changing all the time. You can't pin any one of them for one position. So there were instances where James was playing the striker. There were instances where it was Rashford. There were instances where it was Bruno. There was instances where it was Mata. So that fluidity up front, but what edged Bruno over everybody else was that intelligence of when and where to fill that gap all the time. And also be that free player with Mata to create that overload on the flanks.
Yeah. Great points, well made, both Mark and Abdel there. Jack says yes, the threesome of Mata, Bruno and Van der Beek is very exciting. Guys, get in the live chat, hit like on this video. If all of you watching right now can smash a like on this video, that would be amazing. And also make sure you subscribe to the All for United YouTube channel as well. If you're watching somewhere else, youtube.com/All for United, come and get involved, especially in the live chat. Jacob says Bruno and Mata were class, such vision for the game. Suzanne went Bruno, Skeptic went Mata. Jack's also hitting on earlier on, went Mata too. Barry, let's get you back in there, mate. Did anyone else go Bruno who have missed out? I don't think anyone else did go Bruno, did they? Right, let's move on quickly. James, you went Maguire. Tell us why.
Yeah, I just think, given the circumstances around the game and everything, no one was expecting him to play, never mind play well, and then to put in such a solid defensive performance, and then get a goal to his name as well. I think it just speaks volumes about the character that he's got, because mentally it must have been a horrendous couple of weeks, if not months, for him. So hopefully he can use this to sort of put it all behind him and kick on to be the £80 million player we all want him to be.
I don't know if you guys can agree with me on this. James, you might do. One of my favourite moments of the game was actually where the midfield spurred Maguire on to come forward and have that shot from just outside the box, and you could see everyone was winning him forward, and that's something that he hasn't done regularly. He used to do that prolifically for Sheffield United. He used to keep getting forward. He'd have a shot from the edge of the box, honestly. So it was good to see him have the confidence to march forward like that and have a go. And as you said there, James, a commanding display, and the way he played probably is what helped him out with wanting to do that. Another Lone Ranger in Alan, you went for David De Gea. I mean, we've given David De Gea the plaudits on the show. Barry's already spoken to him, but tell us why you think he should have been man of the match.
I think it was psychologically affected from the previous games, like conceding 6 against Spurs, and then having an awkward game versus Palace. I think most of the games, it wasn't his fault. Defensively, it was defensive individual mistakes. And so he had he received criticism from the last national team game as well. So psychologically, coming into this game, if I was in De Gea's foot, I think it would have been a difficult game for me. But he handled the pressure well after an unfortunate start with that own goal from Luke Shaw, which he couldn't do anything regarding that particular move. He came on with a save against Saint Maximin. That was a crucial save. While saving, he hit his shoulder onto the goalpost as well. Felt like an injury to me, but he quickly recovered from it. And then that point blank save from Callum Wilson's shot. I think it was Maguire who was supposed to mark him, but missed it out, and that was a key moment in the game because we were still 1-1, and if that goal went in, maybe it would have been a different game.
Yeah, no, good points, well made. My only thing is, guys, am I being a bit skeptical here by saying that actually, could De Gea have done more on that goal? Could he? I just felt like his feet were planted, and
you're right. Yeah.
Yes,
Then
but he shouldn't have been in that position. Other people's fault.
He expected a
yeah,
cross.
he expected a cross.
Yeah,
But then
he
usually that's what De Gea's
no
best
reaction
at,
time.
expecting the unexpected, which is why when I was watching it, I was like, it's not a goalkeeping mistake, don't get me wrong. Like, Luke Shaw was, I don't know what he was trying to do, to be honest. But I just, from De Gea,
I think if it was a small deflection, he could have reacted. Because it was a big one.
A bit too much zip on the ball.
He just, he froze. Like, he completely just, it's not what I expected at all.
I mean, we say the same, don't we, when someone calls in a free kick from 25 yards out and the keeper stands there and just stares at it. But I just felt like there might have been an opportunity. But that's just me being really, Jack, you're right. He wasn't expecting a deflection, as the guys just said. Charlie said, I agree. De Gea just watched it go in. That one-handed save, Jack says, was brilliant.
Yeah.
Jacob said Maguire got some key challenges in, unlike Lindelof, who should have done much better for the opening goal. I think what United struggle with defensively is stopping chances from their source, which is just baffling. And I remember a couple of times actually, Luke Shaw. There's been some stuff said in the chat about Luke Shaw having a great game, and I think everyone had a good game. So I'm not going to sit here and slate Luke Shaw, but I still think there was a couple of occasions when crosses came in the box from his side, and straight away, if you watch it intently, again, fans, if you're at the stadium, would have seen this more than if you watch it on telly. But off the ball, Maguire's screaming at him. You can't let that ball in the box. Stop letting that ball in the box. And it happened 2 or 3 times. I think it's really interesting. Right, Juan Mata. Reese, take the floor.
I just felt all round it was just a professional performance, and that's what you want from one of your most senior players, especially on the pitch. What I will say as well is, for me, it was between him and Bruno Fernandes for my man of the match. I gave the nod to Matt. I felt it was all round more professional performance, and it was certainly more going forward. I thought he was just a brighter spark, but Fernandes had a fantastic game, so I'm not going to say he didn't. What I will say as well is that Matt is continuing to prove doubters wrong as well, saying he's finished and that he's no longer shouldn't be playing in any game, and obviously there's going to be people who will argue that and justify saying, perhaps he shouldn't. But I'm going to say, in fact, he does, because his creative spark is levels ahead of everyone else. The only thing that lacks is pace. But yesterday he didn't need the pace because he had runners around him, which I felt was effective. And from that, he was able to pick key passes, which led to goals and key moments in the game. So that's why I gave him the nod myself. Like Matt, it's just his football intelligence is levels ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, and he's shown it in the games he's played this season. Jax says 100% agree. Reece, Suzanne says Mata is such an intelligent player. 100% underrated. Sure, what is in Shaw's underrated? Or Charlie, Shaw is better going forward than everyone thinks. I think Karthik is rubbing off on you, Joe. Just moving small. Guys, get in the live chat as we're chatting. Would I be right in saying, Joe, you'd appreciate this? With all this loving for Juan Mata, this show's turning into a special one.
Yes, thank you, Ben. That was woeful, but I adored it.
Oh, brilliant!
Get your jacket, Ben.
Great. Let's pass it over to the funniest guy on the channel. Then go on, then, Joe.
Is he?
Why Juan Mata for man of the match, Joe?
Look, honest to Christ, all right. It was mainly down to the fact that it wasn't so much that he was the best player on the pitch. It was kind of like Joe and the player this year in every club. It tends to go to the player who the fans love the most and who puts in the most, who mightn't be the best player. Like Jordan Henderson winning the Player of the Year last year. Like Juan Mata wasn't the best player. I think it was Bruno Fernandes, but the fact that Juan Mata is treated, I think, in the eyes of our fans, he's not given the respect and the regard he should get. Okay, he has done nothing. When I felt he was put in this bracket of dead wood alongside Jesse Lingard and maybe not as bad as Phil Jones, but Marcus Rowe and all of those. So players that shouldn't be here. But I understand that he's at the wrong side of 30. But he is the most intelligent man in the world. That's a lie. Okay, he's probably the most intelligent man in Manchester. But you can't teach that. It's not like what would you have with Lingard? Okay, you have a bit of work rate, but he dances. Okay, get rid of that. Rojo is a psychopath. Get rid of that. Phil Jones. But with one man, okay, he adds so much to that squad. He is so important, even as rotation wise, that like I feel the respect he gets is so low down for what it should be. So, and when he was forced to come in, and there was people that was giving out about it, like, and he gave 2 assists and was pivotal in another one of the goals. Like, he is a sensational player and is not regarded enough at our club that he should be. And I feel like everything he did yesterday deserves it. So, Juan Mata is just the best player who ever existed.
The greatest.
I think the one thing you could. I think the one thing we could all agree on is when Mata joined us, he had that extra yard of pace. So imagine Mata from 2013-14 with the level of intelligence he's still got in this team right now, he would be such an even bigger threat. But even with his lack of pace, he's still effective.
Reece, do you know what I love? I love the tweets, and I've seen loads of these on my timeline. I don't know if you guys have had as well, where they mix footballers together. And the one from this weekend was imagine Dan James's legs on Juan Mata.
I saw that.
I saw that.
So
Juan Mata's, Dan James's legs and Juan Mata's brain. That is colossus. But you would need someone else's final third. Just saying, someone else's final third, because he hasn't got a final third. I hope he improves on that though. That's my only criticism. Is I hope he improves on that.
He hands down the most intelligent player we have in the squad. Hands down. But I think that's why that's why he's being pushed to the right, by the way, because he can actually intelligently play that role even though he doesn't have the legs.
Abdel, can I ask you something? Right, because I'm not convinced this can work in my own head. So I'm actually going to ask you this. And then, guys, feel free once Abdel's jumped in with this for you guys to jump in as well. I'll keep the chat like this and get involved in the live chat as well. Can you play a 3 behind the striker of Van der Beek, Fernandes and Mata? Does that would that work?
It would.
I know that's such an open question. I'm sorry, but I had to ask it how I think in my head.
No, I mean it can. You can make it work, but it will require a very specific type of fullbacks from you, because the fullbacks will have to do extra work. Because you just put 3 creative players, none of them are inside forwards, none of them are actually wingers. So these guys are gonna move in centrally, and even more so than a forward. I'm not gonna be making off the back of the defender runs and all that stuff. So you will need your fullbacks to always be at the touchline, hugging the touchline on both sides to maintain that width. Do we have those fullbacks? No.
You'd also probably have to play McTominay and Fred in that midfield for this to work as well, because you would need 2 stationary midfielders, so to speak, who can sit and cover.
Exactly. And you would have to have a very mobile CDMs, very, very mobile CDMs to cover the fullbacks. And another thing, by the way, actually, it was an example of that at the last 10 minutes when both Pogba and Donny van de Beek came in. We lost a bit of width, but what we gained instead was just a bit more quality in the passing. So that width that we kept, and I was so impressed with throughout the game, the 90 minutes, we lost a bit of that because we played a lot of creative players at the same time. And our fullbacks couldn't maintain that width. So one of them was always hanging behind while the other push up. So if the ball was on Aaron Wan-Bissaka's side where he scored, Shaw was at the back. Shaw was keeping that 3 in the midfield intact so that we don't lose that balance. And the football nowadays is played a lot more asymmetrical like that. The ideal situation is that you try to keep the width all the time, but it's really unsustainable sometimes, especially at against a good team. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
So to sum it up, we're going to win the league, is it?
I hope so.
That's what he definitely deserves. Mark, you were listening quite intently to that. What do you think of like a 3 behind a striker of those 3 creative players mentioned? Maybe, for instance, a Fernandes, Mata, and Van der Beek.
Unfortunately, I'm not a stat man like Abdul, but if he says it can work, I'll agree with him. And essentially, I think it would be nice to see that.
Close the show now, shall we?
By the way, just don't so that no one quotes me on that. We do not have the fullbacks to do this, and we do not have the CDMs to do this.
Okay, Abdul,
Abdul,
just heard
sorry,
quote after that.
just before Joe says anything, so just to quote you right, you said we're going to win the Champions League, not the league. Is that what you just said?
I hope so. Nothing would make me more happy.
No, Ben, what you're wrong. What he says is we'll win both. Okay.
Another level.
I mean, how good would it be if we win that Champions League final against the Scousers?
Yeah.
Do you know what would be better if they didn't get near the Champions League final?
Oh, that would be even better. You want to beat your big rivals.
Yeah. You know that they have a petition out to, I don't know, get Pickford banned. Pickford banned.
Oh my God.
I
They
so
have a
close,
petition
guys.
for everything. It's funny.
I was so close today. I actually can't find any paper in the office, which is mental. I don't know how there's no paper in the office, which I can't scribble on anyway. I was going to put pray for Van Dijk on my top because you know that's the next thing. You know that's what's going to happen next.
No, someone just tweeted that they're doing a minute silence across.
Did you guys see the tweet that was done by this? Like, I don't know who it was
I
called.
tweeted
There was a big Liverpool account, and he tweeted like, "Oh, they want to take it to Parliament about getting the drop. They want to get the drop points rescinded." I'm like, for fuck's sake, like you drop points because they were better.
Dreamland, don't they?
Didn't they have a
Live in
petition for the
dreamland.
Atletico Madrid match last year?
They belong in this. Honestly, the Scousers belong in a zoo. Like, it's the only place to keep them safe.
Wow,
A contained environment
is going
safe.
in.
Bit harsh. Just to answer your question, I think Abdul's absolutely right. I think we don't have a quick enough CDM in order to accommodate that. We could try it perhaps against a lesser team. I think to play those three behind a striker, we might be able to open a team up a bit better. And yeah, I think you've got to obviously try it really before, but and yeah, we need probably a bit more going forward with wing backs. I think Aaron actually goes forward very well, and I don't think he's given enough credit for that. And I think Alex Tellez, I can't wait to see him play. Cannot wait to see him play.
For that as well. Spot on, Mark. James, let me quickly come over to you. We mentioned there about the three potentially behind the striker, but in your opinion, James, who would that striker be?
Right now, it'd have to be Martial. I think it's very tight between him and Rashford. I don't think Greenwood's quite at their level yet, as good as he is. But yeah, I think just based on last season, because you can't really get much from this season, it's been a bit weird. So I'll go with Martial for that lone striker.
Yeah, good shout. Jarvis here makes a very good point, actually. If Mata was to play in that position, I think it'd be the same if it was a Van der Beek or a Bruno a bit more to the right. We'd need that protection like Silva got from Yaya Toure. And I think that in those seasons was when Yaya Toure becomes such a dominant force in the midfield. That's actually a really good example, Jarvis. Spot on. Brendan says it also depends on the striker in front of those three, though. Who would you put in front of those three? I just mentioned there, Martial maybe. But again, I'll stick with it. And someone just tweeted us as well. One of Rashford's best performances for United since maybe that Tottenham game when he was up front. And he was absolutely sensational. So you know, it's great to see the fact that he's pushed out to the left and he's come back to the centre forward position and has played really well. Time's getting on. Barry, you're moving. I think it's working. I think we've got
I'm terribly sorry. I've changed devices and this should work now. My sincere apologies.
It's all right, mate. It's good to have you back. And actually, let's start with you because we're going to move the topic on now. We spoke a bit about man of the match. I want to move on and think ahead to the PSG game. I've named this who can Solskjaer trust against PSG, because I really think that part of his team selection was they're the group of players that he thought could go into this game and win it. He trusted them to go out there and get the 3 points and work hard. So for you, Barry, do you think it's a team that ended the match against Newcastle that potentially starts against PSG, or do you think that that we might even see him from the off go with the likes of Matic again and potentially bring back in Martial for Mata?
I think it'll be a combination. I think it'll be more of the team that ended the match, but I do think that we'll see Matic back in the team. I'm not sure. I don't know if you want to discuss about formations that he might play. Is that something?
Feel free. Go into it. Feel free.
I just wonder if he won't play a 3-5-2 against PSG. I'm not sure. I think that, not to be negative, but if we come away from that game not losing, that's an excellent result. But with the likes of Neymar and Mbappe up against us, we're going to need to defend resolutely. So the back 3 or 4, however it chooses, will need some protection. I think if he plays 2 in front of a back 4, I would look for Matic and McTominay. While they might not be particularly mobile, I think I've made my thoughts quite apparent. But I think he might start a 3-5-2 with Maguire, Bailly and Shaw at the back, with Telles and Wan-Bissaka as wing backs. And then it's a matter of the 3. And I see Jax agrees with me. You're quite right, Jax. Well said. The 3 that will be sandwiched between the wing backs. I think Oli loves Pogba, so I think he would start with him, and probably Bruno and Matic, and 2 up front, probably Rashford and Martial. I think that's how he might play it in a 3-5-2.
Good shout. Jamie goes, as long as Eric Bailly isn't right back again against PSG like last time, you can take me back to that team in Paris again and I'll start them all over again if that happens again. Bloody hell.
What with Lingard and Pereira?
Oh, I don't care as long as we win the game like we did. That's just a moment and a half. Sorry,
and
Joe.
Also remember we played Dallo right wing that day as well.
Dallo was right wing that day as well. Yeah, you are right. I also, if you want to guys go and have a look, sorry to cross plug here because all these guys have got amazing things to say. But I spoke to Jonathan Johnson, who works for the Gossip and has covered Paris Saint-Germain for years, and he was talking a bit about how that win affected PSG fans and how gutted they were, and we spoke about the blatant handball as well. Because I go back to it, I've said it before, I say it again. How the rules are now, there is no arguments over that handball whatsoever. It was so wrong. So I go and watch that because also Jonathan helps us preview the game, and if you look on paper it looks like PSG have been in weird form so far this season, but they've been hit massively by coronavirus and underinvestment, as Jonathan was telling me about as well. So go and check out that preview. It's on the channel now, and subscribe to All for United whilst you're there. Barry makes some good points there on formation. Resets come over to, actually no, we haven't heard from Alan in a while. Alan, let me come over to you first, mate, about formation. But do you expect to see debuts for Telles? Maybe even Cavani?
Well, I hope so because we haven't seen Telles play yet for United. How does he fit the system? Things like that. But he's got the character to play for United. From his what I saw from the previous highlights as well as the interview which he had with United. And starting Cavani will be interesting. It'll be tough, but I don't think he'll start the game because I think he'll be on bench versus Chelsea as well. Maybe he might start on bench versus PSG as well because Cavani, he has to be slowly integrated into a team because with the age and the amount of injuries he's gone through and after not playing football for a while, I think it's better to get him into a team slowly rather than getting him in quickly because Cavani will take a lot of chances to score a goal. So I don't know how that affects. At the moment, Rashford is doing well in front of the goal. So I'll go with Rashford itself. And Telles will be interesting because I like the idea which Barry told, going with 3-5-2 because we have to stay compact. We need protection against PSG with the pace that they have got in front. And at the moment, we lack some recovery pace against quick forwards. So that's something that has to be noted. And then it'll be interesting with the 2 midfielders who will be shielding the back 3 in 3-5-2. And it'll be interesting to see whether Ole will start Donny van de Beek because I really want him to start this game. He's got that experience in the European stage, so that'll help us. Bruno van de Beek. And it would be great to see Mata at some point as well after that game versus Newcastle. But we really need pace because we might sit back for some time and then go on a counter-attack against PSG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do agree with you, and I agree with the shouts about Van der Beek having Champions League experience as well. And I think actually if you start to look at this squad properly, yeah, we can call it a young squad, but the majority of them have decent Champions League experience as well if we play the right players. And again, another one is Telles. Telles has great Champions League experience. He's played in the competition for years. Yeah. So I do not think it's a risk throwing Telles in, giving him his debut. Reece, what are your thoughts, mate?
Well, I'm inclined to agree with Barry, and and Alan about playing a back three, but I got a funny feeling that we're not even going to play a back three at all. I think we're going to stick
We're
with
not going to play a
four.
defence. We're not even going to play a defence. We're going to roll out attack.
No, I don't think we're going to play a back three formation. I think we're going to stick to a back four. I honestly think we will. I think we should be playing a back three, but I don't know. I think I think he doesn't want to revert his system now. I think he's going to stick with a 4-2-3-1. Well, what I'll say is his defence has got to be crucial. Like, he's got to make these changes spot on. If he doesn't get this right, it's going to take us. It's going to possibly have a complete after effect. And obviously, the one thing we need to remember is PSG have got rumoured 11 players out, and that's including heavy first teamers: Verratti, Pereira, and possibly Icardi. Neymar's potentially out as well. So we're going to have to be very careful about. We don't want to. Obviously, we can't say underestimate PSG, but you can't underestimate who's out, because once they say, we've got players out as well, you need to seriously consider it. I would personally play a back three. I would play Wan-Bissaka as my right centre back. I wouldn't play him as the right wing back. I would have someone else out there. I think his athleticism at centre back might be crucial against the forwards, especially because he's got pace. What I would say is I would like to see Telles start. I don't know if he will. So I'm inclined to agree with a comment in the chat by Suzanne. I think Telles will start on the bench. I think Van de Beek will as well. As much as I would like Van de Beek to start, but I don't know if he will. I would like Cavani to start as well. I would go up top. I would go Rashford and Cavani. Martial, he's not firing at the minute, and against PSG, I feel if he misses out again, like he doesn't get any goals, I think that'll affect his confidence. I would rather bring him on as a substitute and see how he impacts the game. The midfield for me is crucial. Pogba for me, no. I would rather have a midfield of Bruno, Matic and Van de Beek. That would be my personal midfield, but we'll see what's done. But I don't think Van de Beek's going to start. I think it's going to be Pogba. A decision I personally don't think is the right fit, especially against PSG's midfield when they've got bullies in that midfield. Mm-hmm. He's going to get taken out of the game, and I think it's a big risk.
I think if we play three at the back, there's no reason why Van der Beek can't play in an 8. I really don't see why we couldn't play him in an 8.
I would play him
in a lot of big games. And Fahad here with a fantastic comment. I'll put it up earlier, but I want to read it out now. Van der Beek's record in the Champions League, especially away against big teams, is amazing. And maybe this is the time for Ollie to give him his chance and go, look, mate, biggest stage, biggest game, United back in the Champions League. Go do it.
His two best performances in the Champions League in recent years was when they smashed Real Madrid and when they beat the goal against Spurs. Like, he turns up in those games. Like, he's very effective. He's just. Yeah. I remember your show a couple of days ago, and your exact comment was, "What does Van de Beek need to do to start a game?" And frankly, he scores for his country. He turns up week after week for Man United. Frankly, is he supposed to be a bench player? Because it sucks that he hasn't had a chance to start.
I love the fact that you picked out something good that I said. I was waiting for you to come and say something that actually made no sense whatsoever and was absolute nonsense. And usually it is crap that comes out of my mouth. Let's face it. Hello to Skeptic, who's just. Someone said what about Rojo at left centre back? And Skeptic, but Rojo's not registered, which I think is true there. Sorry, Joe, I keep having to mute you because you keep moving about in your chair and it keeps making loads of noises as people talk.
Sorry.
Let me quickly cross over to James. James, what do you think about this? Because we need to move through because I've got a couple more questions. What do you make of this? Do you think Ollie's going to go with a trusted 11? So might be a few shocks like we saw against Newcastle. Or are you expecting him to just bring out the big guns and again hope for the best?
So the optimist in me hope that he just goes for the big guns. You know, he gives Telles his debut. He goes for Van der Beek and just throws what on paper would be our best side out there. But given how the season's gone, I just don't see him doing that. I think Newcastle was a perfect opportunity to give Van der Beek his debut, not Van der Beek, sorry, Telles his debut, because it's a side that we're going to set off you a bit. His defensive responsibilities aren't going to be as heavy, and he can just focus on attacking and have another debut. So I think if he didn't start against Newcastle, I don't see why I'd throw him in at the deep end against PSG. Just, it's a bit of a baptism of fire to see if he even does fit your system at all. So I'd like to see all the big guns thrown at it, but Pogba in big games is sometimes questionable. So whether he's a smart choice or not is something that can be thrown about. But yeah, I'd love to see Van der Beek and Telles come in, but I don't think we will.
Mark, we've got some great players and we've got some great options, but personally, my thoughts right now, there's one player who's played 3 games for United this season and he hasn't put in a bad performance. Yeah, some of them are Carabao Cup games, but his name's Juan Mata. And I can't see how Ollie drops him. I really can't.
Yeah, I think
in a week.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But I hope so. What do you reckon on that, Mark?
It could be on a rotation thing. I think he had, as few people have said, he had his eye on this game coming up. Just something I want to say. I think Reece is right where he will stick with the same formation, but I would agree with Barry and start every player that he's mentioned, but I'd start Van der Beek instead of Pogba. I've seen a few comments about Cavani. I don't think you will see Cavani until at least, not even in the squad, until at least the Leipzig game. He hasn't played since March.
Yeah.
He's been in isolation. He's also had injuries. He will not be there until Leipzig, so I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. And with Telles, I think it would be a good opportunity. You know, he'll have a few more training sessions since then. I was surprised maybe that we didn't see him on Saturday. But I think that he could. I think Luke on the left, Harry and Bailly would be my choice. And then, as I said, Matic playing a one pivot, and then Bruno and Van der Beek, and he'll probably go with Martial and Rashford. I would have thought. I don't know where Greenwood is at the moment. I heard that yesterday he was he had a bit of a mare drinking and socialising or something, and that was why he didn't feature on Saturday. But
I've had injury as well. But yeah, there's so many things going around. So wait a second, Mark. So you don't think we'll even see Cavani on the bench on Tuesday?
No, he hasn't played since, and I think this is the problem we've had with Van der Beek as well. I have been more passionate about than anyone to get him to start, but again, he hadn't played for Ajax and since March. Yeah, so when you're moving to another league, the problem is it's a double-edged sword. You're either going to throw them in, and then they might be shit, or you're going to throw them in and they'll be great. But they need a bit of integration. He hasn't played since March. He's been playing with Cavani. Cavani's a lot older. Cavani has had major injuries, and he hasn't played since March. So I do not. He's just got here in the team and had one training session. He's not going to be anywhere near the team. Not even against Chelsea. Next week against Leipzig, I reckon you'll see him maybe on the bench.
I think that's why, by the way, Telles didn't start, because again, he only had a training session before the game against Newcastle. But I agree with you, but I completely agree with you. What you said is completely logical. Nothing you said is absolutely wrong, but I actually do expect to see Cavani on the bench sooner than we all think. And I don't know if that's maybe just I don't know. Maybe me having a few different conversations. Again, nothing you said is wrong. I don't know why. I just expect to see Cavani on the bench. And if he can get given 10 minutes, I think he'll be given 10 minutes here and there, because I just think the best way to build up fitness, and I think this season's shown it, is match time. So I think he needs to get on the football pitch as soon as possible. But however, as I say, I can't argue with you. I think you're completely spot on in what you said. I think it was also a risk to get him straight on that football.
Yeah, definitely.
After such a long out. Joe, final thoughts looking at the team and the side Ollie may pick against PSG.
Yeah, I'm quite optimistic about this game because we tend to play well against the big teams. It's when we're struggling against small teams like Chelsea at the weekend, that's who I'd be more worried about. Frankie and the boys.
I love Joe, man. I love Joe.
But coming against PSG, I fully expect. I listened to everything Mark's saying, and I do agree with a lot of it. But I do think I'm a bit concerned if Donny doesn't start this game, only because I know the disruptions with his agent a couple of weeks ago. Whatever that's about, they don't tend to get out unless there's something behind it. So I think actually he will start against PSG. I think Pogba will be dropped. Yeah. I think it'll be a big decision that Solskjaer makes, and it'll be one that we'll all kind of agree with when it happens, because he needs to put faith in him at some point. Because when Donny was signed, he wasn't told, yeah, you're going to be on the bench, because that's what my only issue wasn't being signed, is because that's the one position we don't need immediately fixed. But so I say when he signed him, he was like, you will get time, you will get big games. So I think he will start against PSG. And I completely agree with Mark was saying as well about Cavani having no match fitness leading up to this. He hasn't played a game since March. But the reason I think he'll be on the bench is because psychologically, no matter what is happening, if you know the person that you got rid of, their all-time top goal scorer, is on the pitch, is on the bench, the opposition's bench, and he could come on and make a lot of problems for you. I think that's always going to be in the back of his mind, no matter if he's up for the game or not. If he comes on or not, it's going to be in the back of what's his name again? The PSG manager,
Tuchel.
That's going to be in the back of his mind as well. He might never come on, but the fact that he could be there is going to be huge for psychologically as well. So I think we'll deal with him. Yeah.
Ollie's going to start playing mind games. Love it.
Yeah.
What Sport Gossip says, start Ed Woodward as right wing. Just make him look a fool to not sign Sancho. Okay.
I can't say any complaints with that.
Good banter. Nithin says Matter showed why a final. Let me just pass over to Abdul as why for the reasons why Ed Woodward at right wing for Manchester United won't work out. Shall we do that now? Nithin says Matter showed why a final third.
It actually will work out.
Final third ball magnet is so crucial. Imagine what we could have done with Sancho. Why are we talking about Sancho? Jessica says Matter is so smart with a ball. If he played against PSG, PSG only like to play for 60 minutes and be subbed. Yeah, but I'm fine with that because if he doesn't make an impact in the first 60 minutes of a game, he should get subbed anyway, and that's just the way it is. Jacob said PSG away is the perfect first group game at the moment. We're not expected to win, so we may learn a whole lot about some of the players we could be playing. We absolutely can't have a defensively weak left side, and I'm just going to go through some more comments here. Jacob just pointing out the fact that Scott and Fred played in the 3-1 win last year.
But we didn't have Pogba. We didn't have Bruno.
Andreas was also starting in that team, if I remember right.
We were missing 10 first-team players.
Yeah.
Bit like what PSG are going to be missing this weekend, which leads me on to the perfect point. I wanted to ask you guys just about PSG's threats. They could literally put out anyone. Thomas Tuchel, as Joe just called him, or Tuchel, whatever we should call him. Tuchel, that's it. He said that Neymar should be back, so there's a threat. Although let's face it, he's not that good. Let's go one by one and start. Actually, Joe, I'm going to come this way. Exactly. I'm going to come this way on my screen. So, Joe, I'm going to start with you. Just one name or biggest threat to do with PSG for Tuesday night.
The biggest threat for PSG is Victor Lindelof.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Because Barry's wetting himself. Sorry, I had to show Barry then. I just watched Barry go like that and I had to bring him up on screen. Sorry, Joe. Go.
No, it's a case of that. They're so underwhelmed, they're so understaffed because of COVID and everything that we should be able to put up against them. But I think if anything's going to falter, it'll be at our back line and it'll be Big V. So I got it out of Barry's mouth before he could say it himself.
Love that. That was brilliant. That was so quick. Mark, let me come over to you for a more serious answer.
Mbappe, I think. I think Neymar's still doubtful. Marquinhos and Draxler are doubtful. Dagba's doubtful. Keira, Bernat and Icardi as well. So I think Mbappe's the only player that really will cause any threat if Neymar doesn't play.
Is that not a song from the 90s?
No, that's Mbop.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
James, let me come over to you. Guys, get in the comments, by the way. PSG's biggest threat. We get them up on screen. Go on, James.
I'm going to go sort of field shout and say Ander Herrera. Just, he's got that sort of, thing about him where, he's an ex-United player. He'll want to get one over on his old team. But you saw the job, the sort of man-marking job he did on Eden Hazard when we played Chelsea that time. If he can put a similar job on Bruno Fernandes, take out our key man, I don't really see where we can hurt them from, especially, Pogba in an isolated team with no one really around him, can't do anything.
He won't play.
Do you not think?
There's my point out the window then.
He has gone back into training though. And
he is fit, I think.
I think
he came on in the last game.
He came on, didn't he? Go on,
The last report I read was that he's not going to be fit for the Champions League. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. I don't know. But I hope he's not, because I know Ander Herrera is just the point that James made. He's very good at that.
Yeah, that is a good point. And just quickly, because you mentioned Hazard, Barry, just quickly before I come over and ask your question, of course, that job that Ander Herrera done on Hazard was so amazing. Putting in mind, Hazard is the best player in the world if we don't include Ronaldo and Messi, isn't he, Barry? As someone in this chat mentioned on the topic this week.
Mate, right in the edge of himself again.
Yeah, I think what Joe said was, and guys, wait for this, right? This was gold when I was watching it. Joe went, Hazard was the best player in the world. So which then everyone looked at him and went, are you forgetting to play? Yeah, but if we're not talking about Ronaldo and Messi, well, he's not the best player in the world then, is he? Like...
Look, he is the best human. At one point, he was the best human footballer in the world. Messi and Ronaldo were not human, okay? They were God sent down to embarrass us.
Very
Brilliant.
obsolete, I think.
Okay.
Brilliant. Fantastic point. Well made, Joe. I had to put him up on it.
Thank you, Ben. I love you forever. I really appreciate this.
That's for coming into this show with such a noisy chair. Barry, let me come over to you, mate. Come on, biggest PSG threat. Who are you worried about seeing line up against us?
Well, firstly, I think they're probably playing mind games, and I think that several of the players who they say won't be fit probably will be fit. But the biggest threat must be Mbappe because of his pace. So he would worry me because he's one of the top players in the world, and I think he could cause us a lot of problems. So he's the one.
Yeah, and I think Barry, I've got a Liverpool. Well, actually, my father-in-law to be, so to speak, is a Liverpool fan, and he's convinced that Mbappe is going to go to Liverpool next summer. He's convinced, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
No ways.
But let's wait and see on that one. Abdel, what about you? You're a man of knowledge. Come and tell us. Apart from Victor Lindelof, who should United be worried about?
Neymar if he plays, that's for sure.
Nah.
Because I don't think we'll play like we'll go toe to toe with them where we try to maintain possession or something like that. So in the sense of allowing Mbappe a lot of space in behind to run to and use his space, I don't think Mbappe will get a lot of that. But with Neymar, no matter how tight you sit and how compact you sit, this guy can find a gap in any way. In any way. So this would be the guy I'm worried about. That's for sure.
Can't stand Neymar. I literally cannot stand him.
Oh my gosh.
I think he's the biggest fraud in football. Anyway, let's move on. Look, Neymar doesn't care if PSG win that game or not. All he wants is a 2-second clip of him nutmegging Aaron Wan-Bissaka to go in his next YouTube video, and he'll be happy.
Do you know what, Ben? As soon as you said let's move on, I knew you weren't going to fucking move on.
I can't stand Neymar. I can't stand him.
Yeah.
The fact that some people talk about him in the same light as Ronaldo is what throws me over the edge. I can't go there.
He's not on that level. He's not on that level, but he's very good.
It's what could have been for me with him. Do you know?
But it's not even immense. He's good. Maybe he's very good. But
no. What I've said is what could have been. Do you know? That's what I'm saying.
Oh no, sorry, I was picking up a comment. That wasn't on your point, Joe. I was picking up a comment on the thing. Sorry, Abdel, carry on. You're obviously going to tell me that I'm wrong and prove me wrong, but still, I can't stand it.
I was gonna say the one thing I'm looking out for, like I don't know if I'm looking forward to see it or I don't want to see it. Like the front three of PSG, let's say, I don't know if Di Maria is playing or not, but let's say Neymar, Mbappe, and whoever the third person is. If we do play a 3-5-2, in a 3-5-2 system, you have to do a man-on-man, the back three with their front of three. I just can't imagine Mbappe and being man-on-man with Neymar, with Maguire. I just can't imagine.
Horror movies. And that's exactly why I think a three at the back with Luke Shaw potentially in a back three could work, because he's good on the recovery runs. If anything, he's better on the recovery runs than he is instantly defending up against someone and stopping the danger. So yeah, maybe that's where Luke Shaw potentially is an option, but we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose, on what happens there. But I do completely agree with you. And again, something else that Jonathan Johnson said to me was the fact that actually Di Maria is a crucial player for PSG. You know, we laugh at him and a lot of people have opinion on him, but he is a very crucial player for Paris Saint-Germain. Let me come over to Reece.
He's a class player. He just didn't want to be with us. That's all.
Wow, he's a
we
snake.
We might have to bring Ashley Young back just for one game to throw him over the barricade again.
Good point, Mark. Good point. Reece, let me come over to you, mate. Threats for PSG.
I'm going to go left field if he's available. I'm going to say Marco Verratti. I think he's one of the absolute best midfielders I've ever seen in the modern game. Frankly, I don't think there's any midfielder right now in either team that's better than Verratti, to be honest. But that's if he's fit. He has had some injury problems as of late, so that's going to be a cause for concern. But what I will say is he is that link up in their midfield. However, what I will say is like the forward players they've got is phenomenal. I would say Verratti's their best creative threat, but their best overall threat is definitely Mbappe. I don't know what people see in Neymar at all. Honestly,
thank you, Reece.
The wind would blow him over. like let me just remind you of something if you've forgotten. The World Cup in 2018, he was on the pitch diving for about 18 minutes combined. That's 18 minutes Brazil could have won a game. So that's Neymar for you, right?
Reese, look at Joe's face as I say this, right? Ready? Look at Joe's face as I say this. Neymar is just the Brazilian Lamella. Yeah, there we go.
Cunt.
That's what it
He's a
was.
cunt.
No, don't use that language. That was a bit
sorry.
too strong. But Reese, yeah, no, I'm completely with you on Neymar. But anyway, carry on. Sorry, what you're saying on Verratti? You're making a very valid point.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of like just the overall creativity, I mean, he's not got the pace of like any other midfielder, but his intelligence is great. And I'm looking at the live chat as well because I've loaded up my laptop, so I've got my laptop up just so I can respond to the live chat. And like Jacob's right, the Italian Xavi, that's pretty much it, or the Italian Nedved, pretty much the same way. Yeah. He's fantastic in that midfield, and the fact that he's roughly the same height as Mata as well. So the agility and the fact that you're not going to get past him, but he's so strong. Mm-hmm. Like that's one thing I would say. But the forward players you can't just ignore, can you? I mean, they've got a fantastic front three and a snake. And
Moise Kean. They've got Moise Kean, haven't they?
And they've got Moise Kean. I feel that was a mistake.
They've also signed. They've also signed Rafinha from Barcelona. And who was the other player they signed? Danilo Pereira, who's fantastic on FIFA, by the way.
They signed Yuri. They signed Yuri as well, didn't they? The left back, whoever it was.
Fun fact: Rafinha is Thiago's brother.
Yes,
he's also Thiago's cousin.
Yes. Is he cousin or brother?
Is he cousin? I'm sure, isn't he?
No,
is he not cousin?
No, they're brothers.
I thought he was cousins.
No, they're brothers.
Yeah,
they're brothers.
Yeah, they sure. Well, one of them definitely got the talents. Put it that way.
Oh, interesting.
Rafinha is good. He's good.
Yeah, a bit of a deadline day signing him, wouldn't he? Alan, let me come over to you. Final thoughts, mate, on threats from PSG, and then we're going to predict the outcome. Love a preview.
See, I think if Di Maria starting the game, he could be the dangerous player because he is an intelligent prick. He's the so-called snake because he's one of the best in the team. Like last season, in terms of goal creating actions, he was first in PSG, and in terms of shot creating actions as well, he was second in the team last season. And big game player. At times, he can take long range shots as well from outside the box. So if the goalkeeper switched off, it can be a goal. And at the same time, the vision to find passes. If we are playing a very compact line, I think Di Maria will be key in order to get those spaces in between to deliver those balls to Mbappe. And at the same time, I'm also scared that Neymar will win a penalty for PSG, even with the involvement of VAR. Maybe a slight touch on a shin, he'll overreact and then win a penalty for themselves and then score a goal there.
Mate, don't be worried about Neymar winning a PSG because you get two. You get one, we get two. I think that's the deal we've got with VAR. So don't worry, we're absolutely fine on that one. I'm still sorry, guys. I don't want to come back to it, but that was never a penalty for us on the weekend. I don't care what anyone says. I don't know how that can be given. I was absolutely blown away by that.
Not sure about
Oh yeah, I mean, I get it. He got caught in the box, of course he did, but he was not in control of that ball whatsoever. So I don't really. Anyway, let's move on. Let's keep talking about the PSG game and let's do some quick predictions, one by one. Let's predict. Should we go first goal scorer and score line?
Yeah.
Let's have a 2-minute. Yeah. Okay, Joe. Let's come to you first.
I think it'll be Mbappe will score first, and it will be a 2-2 draw to us.
2-2 draw to us.
Called an Irish draw.
It's called an Irish draw. Yeah, exactly. Barry, do you reckon there'd be some missed penalties in that game as well?
Probably.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Mark, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, Mbappe to score first. But I think, as always, Ben, I'll come in positively and we're going to beat him 2-1.
Love that, mate. Love that. James, what about you, mate?
I'm going to go Rashford to score first, quick counter attack, and then I'll go similar to Mark, 2-1. We won't keep a clean sheet.
No.
Barry, what do you think?
1-1 draw, Bruno to score first.
Abdel?
1-1 draw as well. Just to
First
agree
goal
with
scorer?
Barry first on something.
Are you going to go for Fred for the first goal scorer? Reese, what do you think, mate? Oh, you muted. Oh, there you go.
Didn't realise I was on mute. Stuff these headphones.
Go on, mate. We're still
2
here.
seconds, boys.
Oh, can I hear?
Oh,
Hello,
sweet.
Reese.
I'm going to go a little bit above you guys, because frankly, that's what I do best. So I'm going to go 3-2 United. First scorer, I'm going to go Idrissa Gueye.
Ooh, you hipster.
Wow.
Fuck yeah.
Wow. I wish your headphones
Yeah.
weren't working. Alan, let's go. Alan, let's go over to you, mate.
I think the score will be 1-1, and we'll be scoring first. I think that'll be. Let me check. I think that'll be Bruno itself, maybe a penalty.
Yeah, love that.
Of course, yeah.
Why not? Why not?
That's
Of course.
highly
He's going to
probable.
score his next penalty. We know he's going to score his next penalty. Just a couple on here. Jessica goes 2-1 to United. Bruno scoring first. Suzanne says 2-1 to Rashford. 2-1 to Rashford. 2-1 to United. Rashford score first. And do you know what, guys? Comment of the night goes to Fahad, because I love optimism. I love positivity. And if this happens, bring it on. 5-4 to United. Martial hat-trick in Paris. Let's be having it.
I don't see
The
why
only
not.
way we can make that better is if he pulls
You
up his
sure?
top and he's got a Pray for Van Dijk shirt.
Are you sure that wasn't Delia Smith? Let's be having it.
Let's be having it. Oh, that's like the iconic Premier League moment. Guys, thank you for getting in the live chat. Hit like on this video, subscribe. If you go check out the tweets at All for United, we've added all these guys into the tweets as well. So make sure you go and follow them. Nithin, 90-minute Maguire headed winner. Yes, come on, let's be having some of that.
That'd be nice.
Cannot wait for Tuesday night. Bring it on. Subscribe to the channel. Get involved. We'll have a match reaction that night as well. Loads of content coming your way. As I said, smash the like on this video, and we are going to get out of here. Take it easy, guys. Speak soon.